along race 1 on Saturday of the Sydney endurance racing weekend. So it's for the 2 hour, 5 hour and the 200 kilometre race. So the Saturday for us was a qualifying session and then 2 sprint races. We missed the qualifying session because I didn't have a camera. Thanks to Poe Lee for donating his camera for us to record this and the second race. So these races, the fastest laps from both this race 1 and race 2 is actually what's going to qualify us for tomorrow's 2 hour endurance race. You can see in front of us there we have one of the 2 RS660s, and then in the white and black suit we have Mick Jeffrey on his Kramer 690R. A couple of very special, just awesome motorbikes there in front of us. High expense but absolute quality, and then the riders on them are very good too. That's Zach Johnson on the Aprilia there in first. I've just hit the rev limiter there going over 3, so you'll see me making quite a few mistakes across these 2 races. One from just a lack of bike time, really. I haven't spent a huge amount of time on the bike. I haven't spent any time on this bike actually since the last race meeting where I had a crash. And I've been unwell, and these guys were just pushing so hard that I was pushing myself to faster average lap times throughout quali and race just to try to keep up with them. These Aprilias, as we see Zach running a bit wide there, these Aprilias are brand new design bikes in the twins class. There's the 660cc twins. Lightweight, a lot of power. It's just a modern sports bike, but in the small twins class that I love with our SV650. The years in front, realistically, tank-wise, and as you'll see here, not quite as fast as the 600 when they come past us, but they are fast enough in a straight line. They've probably got 10 or 15 horsepower more than our 650 has. And then, the quality of rider that they've got on it. Zach Johnson's there in front of us, and then we'll see former Australian champion Tom Taparis come past us in a little while. You can have a good machine, but the rider's got to know how to ride it as well. So these guys definitely took it to us and made me have to work a lot harder than I probably ever have really on the SV. And because I've been pushing so hard, and here I go, I like that move on the flip-flop between turn 4 and turn 5 here at Eastern Creek. I don't think Zach had done much riding here at Eastern Creek or Sydney Motorsport Park prior to the Friday and now to this day, which was Saturday. So he was still you still see him learning a couple of lines here and there. That's another thing to point out. Pretty much all of our competition for the weekend had spent at least some time on track, either on the Friday before this event, or there's Tom Taparis taking a very tight line on the outside of me there. Again, Tom Taparis is a former Australian Supersport champion. He's raced in British Supersport, World Supersport, German Championship. He's an incredibly skilled rider and actually a very nice person as well. It's great to talk to him. And you can see he's getting the best out of these bikes as well. You can see Mick Jeffrey there on the inside on the Kramer. Now I geared down a little bit too early there. I think a combination of just pushing very hard and seeing Mick, I made a mistake on entry to 1, and then the same thing, I've made a mistake here on entry to 2. I did kind of struggle throughout the entire weekend with getting the bike to stop. I felt like I didn't have enough support from the front end. It definitely wasn't tyre problems because we had brand new, literally July 2022 build Bridgestone VO2 slicks for Lights Racing products. Absolutely mint tyres, so I'm able to do things on that newest generation of VO2 than I have before. But I think just with how much harder we're pushing is, you're finding setup needs to be modified again to deal with that extra speed that we're carrying. Earlier in 2022 and late 2021, we were running 43s and 44s. Now we're running consistent 42s. So that's 1.5 seconds a lap faster. It's putting more force through the bike. I'm riding harder, so we're going to have to stiffen the front end up. So I've organised with Rob for the roll sprung motorcycle suspension. We're going to take the bike to him. He's going to service that suspension and re-spring, re-valve the front end, give us a bit more front end support. And then you can hear me there also. I had an issue with shifting. I don't think it's a shifting issue with the bike itself. It might be me kicking the shifter and the sensitivity being up too high with the kill switch on the quick shifter itself. And then in other places you hear me hitting the rev limiter, or it sounds like I'm misshifting, but I was actually hitting the rev limiter a lot sooner in places than I normally would even get close to it. Again, we were going a second and a half a lap faster than in the past. Again, there's that setup change that we were talking about. So I'm going to have to get different gearing, run longer gearing around the track to kind of get us back to where we're used to our shift points. And for me, like, I haven't been at Eastern Creek or Sydney Motorsport Park in good weather conditions like this. Like, it was cold. It was 15 or 16 degrees air temperature, 25 degrees, 30 degrees track surface temperature. That's pretty ideal for us, for me, really. Being heavy, it helps keep my tyres a bit cool relative to everyone else's. The setup that we had from the past, and the new setup, the new airbox, new fairings, we kind of hadn't really had a lot of time with them. I haven't had much track time, so all of a sudden I'm going a lot faster than I'm used to with the bike that I've got. So little mistakes creep in every now and again. You can see now the two Aprilias with their huge top speed difference, and even that Kramer with the top speed and even torque off the corner difference. It's what we've kind of got in the way. I kind of settle into my rhythm here rather than continuing to push, because Saturday is just kind of the fun day. Sunday is the big event where we have 2 hours of riding to do between myself and teammate Matt Franco. So yeah, you don't want to be pushing too hard and falling off in the sprint races ahead of the main event. This is coming up to the last lap. This is Glenn Jackson. It's one of his first race events in St George with us. I did forget to point out earlier that these races are actually shortened. They were supposed to be quite a lot longer, but there was a quite serious incident which caused a bit of a delay on the day, so rather than cancelling events, they just shortened up all of the races. So instead of having a 10-minute plus 1 lap race or set of races, we had 7-minute races, so a little bit quicker. I think it was only like 6 laps that we got in. But that's enough for me to, we realised, okay, there's a few setup changes that we need to make, so we'll make them for race 2 to do a bit more testing. Hopefully get the bike sorted ahead of the 2-hour endurance race on Sunday. Final straight here, behind Mick there on the Kramer. We ended up finishing 4th in this race, which not upset with, considering we have 2 Aprilia RS660 Trofeos in front of us, and a Kramer 690R. It's a slightly higher spec bike than the first round bike that we went up against. So, there's the best part of 100 grand's worth of machine there in front of us, and we're on an SV650. Sure, the guys have to ride them, they have to get them around the track, but it's a pretty high spec machinery. So pretty stoked to actually be that close to them coming into the race, really. So here's the start of race 2. You can see the Aprilia boys. We got a pretty good launch ourselves, and the Aprilia boys kind of tended to struggle a little bit. Again, you see here Zach maybe still coming to terms with how you get around Eastern Creek. He had a bit of an issue there around out wide, and rather than get forced off track again like I have in the past, I decided to cut the throttle rather than ending up in the dirt. So ended up losing a little bit of time to the pair of them. And then again, you know, they've got the legs on us, the 90 horsepower versus 75 horsepower, and lighter weight bikes, lighter weight riders, guys that are a bit more dialed in because they were here testing on Friday, and then, you know, undoubtedly their level of skill, I just wasn't able, I'm not able to keep up with them fair and square. They've got me beat. Try my best, and again, I said during the first race, you'll see me make quite a few mistakes in this one, and then that's just learning, trying to keep up with those guys, the area that we need to push on the bike, where I'm pushing on the track, and then, you know, where there's shortfalls in both my riding and our bike setup. So yeah, just there, even on that back straight, there's 5 or 6 bike links that they're making. We're getting on the gas at about a similar point. Out on circuit, their bikes were actually quite noisy, so I could hear around about where they were getting the throttle, and it, you know, from what I could feel on track, it felt pretty similarly placed to where I was getting into the gas. But they're just absolutely rocket ships. It's awesome to see them in the class, and I do hope it's opened a few eyes around the track, and, you know, people can see these two guys, these really quick guys, on ostensibly off-the-shelf bikes. I mean, being that they are the Trofeos, they literally rock up to your doorstep, ready to race. Again, giving chase to the Aprilias, and I nearly hit the rev limiter there, and I thought I could just run through and forth like I have done in the past. But I just ran super deep, which allowed Levi also path, and he ended up running wide into turn 5, so I managed to get back. See again, overshooting the corner, I just didn't have that feeling on the brake with the fuel load and, you know, the speed that I'm carrying now as well. We were testing a heavier fuel load in these races just to start getting us ready for the 2 hour, because of course the 2 hour we're going to be running with completely full fuel load from the start of the stint. But I think, you know, in combination with the extra speed that we're running and the pace that we have, having that half fuel load just caused a few stability issues, I guess you'd say. As well as me just not being as smooth as I need to be, able to be fully honest. When you're going a second and a half faster than you have been the last couple of times you've been on track, there's things happen a lot faster and mistakes are made. One of those mistakes is here, going into turn 1. In the past, that hit the limiter just a little bit. But geez, that one was real bad. It allowed Levi to catch me through turn 1 and make that pass on into 2. Now, Carl, who was supposed to be our teammate for this weekend, he had an injury unfortunately, so he's been replaced by Matt Franco. So Carl was actually out around the track watching what we were doing, both today and then on Sunday. He was saying that I was losing, you know, several bike lengths or a couple of tenths of a second going into turn 1, and again, that's that bike setup change that's required, courtesy of, you know, going a lot faster. These guys on the Aprilias and the Kramer made me push harder than I think I realistically was able to. And again, here you see I was pushing, and Levi's come past me. Nice little move. I just clipped the limiter there, and you see he gets a couple of bike lengths on me, so I wasn't able to chase in on the flip-flop like I normally would in the past, especially against the 600s. Levi's able to carry an amazing corner speed on his little Moto 3 bike, and his lightweight of the bike, and the comparable power to weight ratio that we have. Tried to slipstream him, but he doesn't quite make as big a hole as I need to try and slipstream someone. I ended up finishing 4th again, so 2 P4s from the weekend. We're not mad at finishing behind the Aprilias, and Levi just pipped us to 3rd there. Great Saturday. We only had 1 session of qualifying and then 2 races, so it was a much more of a bridge day than we kind of were anticipating. But you know, it was good for me to get the body and mind back into readiness ahead of the 2 hour. So we have the iPhone 2 hour coming up for the Sunday, so that'll be the next video coming in the next week or so. And that one's really fun. I really enjoyed that race. So for the Saturday, just going to say big thanks to everyone, all of our sponsors and supporters. My dad was out at the track again for the first time in a while, and then we had the rest of the team in the pits and back at home that were giving me service support and advice at the end. And of course, a huge thanks to St George Motorcycle Club and all the volunteers for making the day happen. I'm going to be fucked for the enduro tomorrow. I'm so tired.